Hi guys, welcome to today's video. In today's video, we are continuing our series. And I fixed the alliance, as you guys can tell, I fixed the ideology map. As we can see, there's only slight changes, including Libya becoming a democracy in the last video. A few nations disappeared. And so the monarchies, as we can tell, are still in the same spots. But we can tell the juntas expanded a bit. And so, but one country in particular is this country. Its ideology is different than its populated areas, and it's in no alliance, meaning it's free for all. Now let's look at the alliances. There's no differences here. Besides a few nations joining the World Defense Pact, the new Axis didn't really grow. Moscow Pact did in the last episode, but let's get into the video, guys. And with the Central Asian country, which is Central Asian republics, declares war on what's left of Afghanistan. And with this war, Afghanistan is in a bad spot. Mostly because of how their terrain is. They're managing to hold this advance back. But in the north, ethnicities that are similar to ethnicities within this empire start unifying. With the Indian subcontinent deciding to deal with this communist threat and put peacekeeping forces in. Yep, the World Defense Pact does that. The British Raj in this timeline didn't get partitioned, but China didn't really come back together. In the US, the SARS collapse was much worse. For some places, like much worse for Russia, but not much worse for all the surrounding countries. And their expansion wasn't as great. Poland has weird borders, yeah. With the division of Afghanistan basically happening now. This is not peacekeeping forces. These are really annexation forces, which, yeah. They're calling peacekeeping forces as a justification. As we know, China did the same thing at the request of the empire, Yunnan. Destroy the borders. The empire of Eritrea, I guess we could call it. But at this point, the communist area of, Russia declares war on the rest of Russia. Yep, Siberia is already out of war. Part of this war is just to get the pact more tight knit. It's so divided right now. And so, yeah. Though they really don't have much of a chance to make a big front. But really what they're trying to do is get around this country. Which is probably, might be aiding them, but there's no proof yet. And with them moving right through. As these troops are very successful. But also Siberia isn't a strong country. And they've advanced so far that, the nationalists have started taking notes and are planning an attack. Yeah. Which, finally, after getting this far, a spearhead is made. And that spearhead connects with Kanyutuva. And now it borders Mongolia. This meaning communist China is connected to it. With the nationalist Russia, well, actually, Novgorod, nationalist Novgorod is a nationalist nation. Yeah, that's of Russia, basically. But yes, Russia goes into fighting mode. These two countries hate each other for a reason. Because all three of these countries claim all of Russia. And it's to the point where division is everything. But there's a big rivalry somewhere I haven't got into yet between South Yugoslavia and North Yugoslavia. North Yugoslavia is more prosperous, but the South has a bigger military. So yeah. But they also have better weapons and stuff. And so yeah. A junta can easily change ideologies too after they're overthrown. With Novgorod having huge successes, but Muscovy is also having huge successes, with them starting to spearhead north towards the ocean. With the Russians the Siberians being pushed back significantly at this point. I'm basically fighting where there's troops. And eventually they meet to the Russian defensive, which means slower advances, but their goal is to cut these troops off. And with the Russian government deciding if they are to surrender, they will surrender to the communists. As they turn to try to get to the coast. These forces follow. And so on till they eventually reach the coast. With them turning down again. This time the green team's rushing along it. With this government already collapsed. Except the government's continuing in Vladivostok. With Muscovy now being most likely the winner of this war. With Japan seizing land, like the Kuril Islands. And so eventually, with the surrender being inevitable at this point, yeah, that starts to become the front line. And when the front line becomes this, yeah. And so they roll. Wait, what? That's me rolling. Ooh, rolling. Bowling. The troops march. Meanwhile, me just sitting. With the government surrendering over to the commies. With the Siberian War being ended in a Muscovy victory. But gains still get made too. The Moscow Pact planning an invasion for in the future the fascist nations. The leader of the Russian People's Republic meets with the leader of the what's the strongest nation in this pact? Meets with Brazil and Germany and France, Newfoundland and Labrador too, and Ontario, Quebec, Sweden, Finland. They meet with everyone, even the Rhineland's representative, on a plan to invade the fascists called Operation Gradown, which basically involves an invasion of the CSA by the North American states. The European states, along with the communist ones, will invade there, into Turkey on both sides. Novgorod will be Finland, Baltica, and the Russia. And then the invasion of Manchukuo will be done by the communists quickly. And then the fall of nationalist China will be by everyone. And Somalia will just be beat by the Horn of Africa. And then, without hesitation, the war starts. With the commies declaring war on the fascists. Making it technically a two-sided war, but three-sided war, but two sides are working closely together. With let's make the democracies green, because why not? Just to show oh wait, that's a bad idea. The bad color to use. How about they be the purple team? In Louisiana even says they're going to join it. And if no nation's wanting to be ended like this, well, they do. Or maybe, yeah, I can just figure out who's who at the end, and then, because I know that's, yeah, I know who's in the communists and who's not. And on a thumbnail, this looks much more clean, too. Meaning you guys are going to click on it, and now you're watching the video, and you're enjoying it, I hope. And this is a war on fascists. You're ready to continue. Texas and Louisiana has joined the war. And let's look at the first front to start out fighting. Well, against CSA. And why would I consider them fascist? Well, yeah. They're more like, yeah. They are fascist. And so Louisiana starts its push. And Texas starts a push. And as this continues to get worse and worse, for the CSA, this time the CSA is put down for good. That CSA in this timeline must have not been completely defeated. So that would mean they're still here today. Along with some map errors.
Apparently.
And is thinking of treaties. Let's go to the next front that breaks out. Novgorod. Finally, the fighting starts here. Where the communists and democracies getting together to take out their common enemy. They now have to contend with a harsh winter. But still in their favor. And so, yeah. Novgorod is falling. And there's nothing that can be done. But maybe not make yourselves an enemy of communists? Maybe that's the moral of the story. Now let's go to the Turkish front. The Turkish front is not that great for Turkey, but some of the nations did put up a bit more of a fight. This area falling, Turkey does make a counteroffensive. Goes pretty well, but as they're making their counteroffensive, Kurdistan and the Russians in the Caucasus region and the Iraqis make a huge push. With Turkey holding that front and making a counteroffensive on the other front. Managing to literally be a blob in the middle of Anatolia. Let's see what fascist China and Manchukuo have been scheming a lot. As they are quickly able to move into multiple fronts at once. They move into Tibet but get stuck. Then they move into East Turkestan. I need to call it the name I gave it. And so, yeah. In our world, it's Xinjiang. But in this world, it's East Turkestan. With the Tibet front not working so well, that's really where it freezes. Manchukuo has been scheming too. As they start invading the Korean peninsula and quickly take Vladivostok. With communist China being half wiped out. It's seeming like Mongolia might fall. But reinforcements arrive in the south. Nowhere else. India and the Republic of China's front. There is some landing and an invasion of Yunnan takes place. The invasion of Yunnan is pretty successful. And then India makes an offensive up around Tibet into here. With East Turkestan ready for their counteroffensive. As the people have the will to fight, as the nationalists are doing horrible things against their people. We don't need to get into it, but yeah, horrible things are taking place. Horrible events. With Manchukuo holding off better, but this is where Japan, with the help of the US, invades Korea. With the communist forces sending some troops, but at this point, it's pretty evenly matched down there. With the fall of St. Petersburg, Novgorod is on the brink of collapse. With a big encirclement being made and it surrenders. This continues happening. As the government has surrendered, but the country is still fighting with soldiers on the ground still. Nobody knows how this works, but eventually they do fall. With a big amount of forces being added to the Anatolian front, Ankara is taken with a big push on both sides. This is basically the war on fascism. With Russian forces arriving and marching into Manchukuo. With an invasion, 2 small-scale invasions taking place, which eventually turns to 3, but the large-scale fighting is in the south. The north is mostly to distract them, but since they're unable to push it back, it allows a good advance. To avoid support from Manchukuo, they encircle a big chunk of it. Because Manchukuo is surprisingly strong. With nobody surprised that this war is there being victors in it, but yeah. With nationalist Manchukuo making out statements saying that they're being, a few words, genocided and stuff. But the people soon realize this is just bull being made up, but yeah. And yeah, I didn't curse. I said boo. Yep, that's exactly right. No curse. And yeah, let's see. Okay, so at the fall of Manchukuo, a treaty is to be drafted. The confusion comes because everybody's claiming parts of everything, and to the point where there's only the first 2 agreements are made, a division of Turkey and a division of the CSA, but those ones are the only agreements so far, and they are signed in the Treaty of Washington, both parties. Has access to the coast. And Texas has a longer coast, and the U.S. now has Florida. But this U.S. wants to take back all of its former territories. But it has alliances with the enemies of these enemies, basically. But they're not really enemies, as say. But now the division of the China's agreed upon, with most of the land being gave to the 2 Chinas. And Manchukuo's partitioned up, most of the land going to the communist government. The world has changed significantly to a degree. With Cyprus and Syria being neutral, so is Turkey. Turkey decides to show its strength by invading 2 neighbors, as they are a weak democracy. Wait, what? Yep, they were made into a democracy. Democracyers won. But they're not allowed to join either the Comintern or the World Defense Pact. With Israel basically declaring war too. And with the attack from the south and the north looming. And with the fall of the fascist pact, yeah. The fall alliance map, before I fix it up for what changed, I'm going to take the alliance that's no longer there off. I just realized something. Somalia didn't get invaded yet. That logically means that the war is over, but one thing wasn't done. The invasion of Somalia. And with the invasion of Somalia being a success, and the success being so great that Somalia is completely destroyed. Reputation. Along with Turkey. Getting new things. And finally, after negotiations, Nigeria joins the Sahel Defense Pact. Along with Cameroon. That's pretty much all for today's video. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and whatever else you want to do. And that's all for today's video. Please like, subscribe, and comment. That's all for today's video. Wild Mapper out. But not until you subscribe. We have 18 subscribers left till our goal of 1,000 subscribers. So if you could, please subscribe. And that's all for today's video. Wild Mapper out. But not until you subscribe. Bye, guys.